Well, good morning, everyone. It's already been a busy morning on the farm. I was up at 6. I make muffins for the high school kids, so I had to get up, make muffins, and have them ready for when my kids went off to school, because I send them with them. And I've also made some banana bread for the farm stand. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I usually make bread loaves for my farm stand, but I haven't been because it's been quiet season. We live in a really small town, and well, it's quiet here in the winter, so people are starting to come back. Spring break was really actually quite quiet because the weather hasn't been very good. So I thought it's time, I need to start putting bread back in the farm stand. So today I'm going to set some fermented bread that I will bake tomorrow. And I thought, well, I might as well show you guys how I do this. It's really super simple, and if you do want to make bread, this is probably one of the easiest ever recipes and this is the easiest way to make bread. It's a no-knead bread, it's a fermented bread, so it's easier on your digestive system. I'm just gonna throw all the ingredients here together, and I'll put the recipe up on the screen so that you can see it. This recipe that you're seeing me make right now is, this is doubled, and I make 4 loaves of bread out of this, 4 kind of smaller loaves of bread out of this. So that was 2 cups of whole wheat flour, 4 cups of white flour. I prefer organic, however, unfortunately, it's been harder to get my hands on organic flour, so my white flour is organic and my whole wheat flour is not, unfortunately, right now. So I just put all of this in one bowl, and I'm gonna do, looking at my recipe because I actually haven't made this bread in quite some time. And I know this seems like a lot, but we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of salt. And the way that I do it, I don't do this like I do my regular bread where I would dissolve my yeast and my sugar inside my my water. I put everything in here and then I add my water. So that's 2, this is 3, and I put the salt on one side, and then 1 teaspoon of yeast, and I put my yeast on the other side because you don't want your salt and your yeast to like directly touch each other. And I actually am, because I'm using honey today. This is a really nice honey local from our area here, which I'm getting close to being out of. And that's going to be 2 tablespoons of honey, but you can use sugar or any sweetener that you want. And I am going to put that in my water, just because if not, I won't be able to mix it in. But if you're just using plain sugar to make this, you can, hold on. If you're just using regular sugar to make this recipe, you can just put it directly into your flour mixture. So then what I do is I just mix my yeast on one side, and I mix my salt on the other side. And now they've been mixed in, so they're not going to come into direct contact. And then I just mix it all together. And you don't have to use a whisk. I'm using whisk. It doesn't have to be a whisk because we're going to have to change over to something else, because I can't keep whisking once I add my liquid. So I'll just change over to a spatula at this point. Okay, now I have just mixed my honey into my water. It's not even mixed in all the way, so it doesn't have to be all the way mixed in. And this is 2 cups of water, but you want 2.5, so I'm gonna add this and I'm gonna add another ½ cup of water. This should be warm-ish, but it doesn't have to be super warm. Like when I make my regular bread, I make it be quite hot from the tap, but this isn't that warm because it's gonna sit and ferment. Make sure you get all that honey out of the bottom of there. Grab another ½ cup and put that in. Okay, so I always start this with a spatula or something, giving it a stir, but I will end up putting my hands in it, but we're not kneading, we're just mixing all the ingredients together. Okay, it's time to get my hand in there. Get my ingredients off the spatula. And so, as I said, you are not kneading this. This is not meant to be a kneading process. This is just getting all of those dry ingredients mixed together. And if they don't seem to be coming together, you can always add a little bit more liquid to them. Because everybody's house is different, as I've said in my other bread videos. And sometimes you need more liquid. Sometimes you need more water. What am I trying to say? Sometimes you need more hydration, sometimes you need less hydration. I'm actually going to add a little bit more water to this. With my scary hand here. Okay. And when I do this, I'm not as accurate with my flour measurement, so that's probably why sometimes I need more water and sometimes I don't. I don't weigh out my flour when I'm doing this. So, and if it's a little wet, that's fine because it's gonna ferment. So it's okay if it's a little, I find that if it's on the wetter side, it's better than if it's on the drier side. But what you definitely want, if you can see what I'm doing here super well, I hope you can, all the dry bits, you want them to be wet. You don't want any dry bits in there. Okay. So I didn't say that this wasn't a messy process, I just said that you didn't really have to knead the bread. This is a no-knead bread, and I could have done that with just my spatula, but I find it's quicker if I just do it by hand. Maybe a little messier, that's okay. Doesn't bother me. Okay, I'm just gonna wash my hand and I'll be right back. My bowl has a plastic lid that comes with it. I highly recommend getting something like this if you're going to do this because it makes it so much easier than having to put plastic wrap on top. And this is what you do. You set it and forget it. And I'm going to show you here. This is where I will keep this on my counter. You can see where it is. I don't do anything except for put it there, and then tomorrow morning I will take it and dump it. Anyways, tomorrow morning I will show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so it's about 12 hours later, and I'm going to dump this out. Maybe. Put a little flour on this because it's kind of sticky. Push all the air out of it. And I'm going to divide this into 4 pieces that are 400 grams each. You can also do 2 big loaves that are 800 grams each. That's good. Here goes. So you want to get all the air out of these. You can see what I'm doing. And just make it into a little ball. Don't be afraid of your bread dough. Well, I'll have to cut that part out. I'm just kidding, dear. And then I'll bring it over here on the pan. There's a non-stick mat on it that I put oil on, as they say. Make sure you pitch your bottom up really good, or you'll have holes in the bottom of your bread. Doesn't look good. So the next step is you want to cover them with some plastic wrap. I highly recommend plastic wrap, even though you can just use a cloth. And you will want to make sure that you oil these, or the plastic wrap or the cloth will stick to the top of your bread. I put these into my oven, and I have a proof setting on my oven. So if you don't have a proof setting on your oven, you can probably just leave these on your stove covered over with a cloth. And then I put an additional cloth over top of them. You're going to leave that for an hour or an hour and a half until they've doubled in size, but don't overproof them. I'll show you what mine look like when they're done. I'm going to take my bread out of the oven. It's been about 50 minutes or so, and I'm taking it out a little early because I need to turn my oven on to as hot as I comfortably will set my oven at. So I'm going to set it at 450. Because you want your oven to be really quite hot to do your initial bake on your bread. So I'll bring this over there so you can see. And these guys have risen up quite nicely, and I find when I take it out of the oven and let it sit, it'll do quite a bit more of a rise. So we're just going to let these guys sit. I can feel the heat on them, and actually I will keep them covered. You know what, not with that cloth. So I'm going to keep them covered until my oven comes up to 450. And then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so one other thing that I've done here is I've turned on my kettle with a little bit of water in it. And you need to get yourself a pan, with like a cake pan or something, or a dish that you can put water in the bottom of your oven. That's important. So my oven is up to temperature, and this is another, hold on, let me readjust you. And my kettle's going to be kind of noisy there, but oh well, this is real life, people. So these guys are all nice and ready. And this, and I just know I'm going call it the wrong thing. It's called a lame. I don't know exactly what it's called properly. So it is a razor blade. This is a razor blade. Where's my camera on there? You can all see that. Okay, so you can just use a razor blade or a really sharp knife to do what I'm going to do here. And I'm just going to score my bread, or slash. I think they call it slashing your bread. Well, see? I put oil in this, and it's being a pain. See how that's sticking? Even though I put oil on it? That's why you want to make sure you oil it. Because it's not fun if it sticks to everything. Just that I didn't put enough oil down. Further down. Okay. So, you can slash this however you want. I have a certain way that I slash mine. And I actually haven't done this in quite a while, because I haven't made any of this bread in quite a while. Let's see how much this pattern even shows up that I'm making on here. So I don't know if the camera's picking up how that's slashing that there. I do make sure that if there's a little skin, you can see what I'm doing, like that all of it got slashed open. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, so I've got a cut, I want it to be a full cut, not yeah, I don't know if that made any sense, but I don't want any parts of the cut to not quite be open. Okay, now another thing you're gonna want is a spray bottle. Just a bottle of water. It says vinegar, but it's not. It is water. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them in the oven. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to let the heat out of your oven. You want to keep the heat, as much of the heat inside your oven as you possibly can, which is another reason why I've got it at such a high temperature. And it's probably lost some of that heat now. And I'm going to put some water in my pan. And I'm going to take and I'm going to spray. I don't know if you can really see much of what I'm doing here. Spray my bread. We're just trying to cause some steam in there, create some steam, and it gives you a nice crunchy crust. Okay, so you can see, I don't know if you can see, that my oven is only at 430 now, but that's okay because that's still a fairly high temperature and it's going to continue to go up. And we're going to keep our eye on this, and in about half an hour, no, I think 20 minutes. Okay, so it has been 20 minutes since I put these guys in there. Now, because of the way that I bake my bread, I don't get like a really super great, I think they call it an ear, as you can see. And I haven't actually made bread for a while, so this wasn't my most successful attempt. But the way that you can tell if your bread is done is when you tap it on the bottom, it should sound hollow. And I can just tell by looking at this that it's done. Okay, so what I do, take it out of the oven, obviously. And then I'll transfer them over to a wire rack to cool. They are hot, very hot. So, yeah, they look really good. They look like they're like these hard balls of blech, but they're not. They're nice and light and fluffy, and they've got a really, I don't want to squish them right now. They've got a really good crust on them. So we'll let those cool off a little bit, and we'll come back to you once they've cooled off, and I'll cut one open, and I guess we'll have a slice of bread for breakfast. Okay guys, so here's our finished product. Fermented whole wheat bread, well, white and whole wheat mixture. Now, I've let this sit and it's almost completely cooled, and I find that if I let my bread sit and it completely cools, it kind of loses its hard crust. It turns a little soft, which personally I prefer. It is still got a little bit of crust to it. Anyways, cut it. And that's what your inside looks like. And, okay, now you guys can see me, my morningness. Good morning. I'm recording, right? Okay, so, soft. It smells really good. Now, I'm gonna actually toast a piece of this and have it with, I don't know, probably just butter. But I want it to taste a little. It has like a lot of flavor, like a real like soury. That's good, really good. I'm a huge lover of bread, maybe too big. So, there you go. Another fresh loaf of bread. Well, okay guys, I hope you enjoyed making bread with me this morning, and if you did, consider subscribing to our channel. Hit the like button, because that does help us out, and hit the notifications if you want to see when we upload new videos. I'm pretty sure the next video that I will upload is a jam making video, because I'm almost completely out of jam in my farm stand, and I need to make jam. Okay, see you guys later. Bye.